during this workout, if you're experiencing any like discomfort, pain, ease up a little bit. A lot of these muscles after we have babies are just disconnected and all out of whack. So if you need to take a little bit off, no worries. And if you have any feedback for me, any questions, as always, my DMs are open. So just shoot me a message or text me or call me or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and start our music, and then I'm going to make sure you guys can still hear me, and we will get going. All right, girls, so the basis of our pelvic floor core class is just going to be breathing. We're going to work on 360 breathing. I'm going to peel my leggings down so you guys can see my beautiful postpartum belly. So whenever we're working on our 360 breathing, I want you to think about, on the inhale, expanding out 360 degrees in your abdomen, and then on the exhale, all of the air goes out. You kind of are coming in the belly button, and you should feel a slight lift in the pelvic floor, if that makes sense. So let's work through a couple of those. So we're going to inhale, and we're inhale here all the way around. Exhale. There might be a slight, almost pelvic tilt on the exhale. That's totally normal. Let's inhale again, expand through. I want you to see my belly. Exhale. One more. And girls, if you're not feeling what I'm cueing the first time around, that's okay. These breathing techniques are actually a little bit harder than they look. I'm gonna drop my camera down. Join me on the mat. If you can't see me, please put it in the comments. And I want us laying on our backs, working through that 360 breathing again, just 3 times. So I'm relaxed. My low back is on the ground, heels are planted, and I'm just going to inhale and exhale. Give me 2 more. So ladies, throughout this week, my challenge for you is to practice that 360 breathing and practice it as slowly as possible. So that big inhale, how slow can you exhale and bring it back in? All right, now lying on our back, I want us to tilt the pelvis, bring legs up to 90 degrees, feet are flexed, hands planted down, and I want you to kind of brace the core. So lower back is touching the mat, and I want you to work through a few heel taps. So keeping that foot flexed, all we're doing is tapping the foot on the floor. We're gonna do 4 on each side, just to sort of prime us for our first superset. All right, and relax. I'm gonna demo while you guys take a beat. So our first superset is gonna be half dead bugs, and we're supersetting that with 360 breathing. So my dead bugs, if I'm doing them all out, right, that's here, opposite arm, opposite leg extending. For today, all I want you to focus on for this first round of movement is extending out straight one leg, low back maintains contact with the floor, other leg maintains that 90-degree angle, bring it back in. Out, back in. We're gonna do 4 on each side, and then we're kind of gonna superset it with like an active rest. We're just gonna do 3 reps of that big 360 breathing. If the full extension of the leg is too much, go ahead and just go back to those heel taps that we started with. You're still gonna get that core activation, just a little bit less, okay? All right, let's bring it up to 90 degrees, feet flexed, maintaining contact with the mat. Let me turn our music up just a little bit, actually. maybe, might not work. Technology is not my friend. All right, we've got 90 degrees, maintaining contact, and straighten right leg, bring it back. Straighten left leg, bring it back. Again, if these feel like a little too much, or if you're having pain in your lower back, regress back to that heel tap. One more on each side. All right, let's plant the heels down. 360 breath. 3 reps here. All right, ladies, back up to 90 degrees in the legs. Let's start with our left leg this time. Extend, bring it back in. Extend, back to 90, foot stays flexed. Halfway there. One more on the left side. And one more on the right side. Bring it in, heels down, let's breathe. I want you to imagine that internal corset, that transverse abdominis, I believe it's called. We're gonna expand that corset all the way out and then bring it back in, weave it back in. I want that mind-muscle connection. Here we go, 3 nice deep breaths. All right, ladies, one last round of those 1/2 dead bugs. Extend that right foot out. Bring it back in. We're just doing 4 on each side. I've sort of noticed whenever we get into higher rep ranges, we fatigue and then there's space between the low back. Form gets a little sloppy. And it just kind of defeats the purpose. Last one on the left side. And relax. All right, back to that 360 breath one last time. One more, I want you to hold the inhale at the top. 3, 2, 1, exhale. All right, girls, go ahead and relax, grab water if needed. Sophie and Natalia, hi, I'm so excited you're here. All right, our next superset is going to activate the glutes just a little bit. And then we're still gonna work in that 90-degree position like half dead bug. So, we're going into glute bridges, so tilt the pelvis, drive up through the heels, squeeze at the top. These are nice and slow. Bring it back down. We're going to do 10. Here, superset with 90 degrees here, but this challenge is we're going to hold for 30. I want you to challenge yourself. Arms come up, reach for the sky, lift shoulder blades off of mat, okay? So glute bridges, give me 10 reps. Up through the heels, squeeze those glutes. That's 4. 5. Halfway, drive up, squeeze, bring it back down. Give me 4 more. And 3, 2. Let's hold this last one at the top. Up, squeeze, hold. Give me a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Bring it back to the ground. All right, ladies. Feet come up, 90 degrees in the legs. Arms reach for the ceiling. Peeling shoulder blades off of the floor. We're going to hold for 30 seconds. In 3, 2, 1. I am just starting my timer because I have found I'm really bad at counting down. If this feels like a little too much, feel free to relax back down onto the mat. But if you want a little bit more intensity, reach up. Almost there, ladies. And relax. Back into those glute bridges. Plant your feet. I'm going to turn our music up a bit. Plant your feet down. Hips drive up to the ceiling. Squeeze. Back to the floor. Give me 4 more. 3, and we're gonna hold that last one again. 2, bring it down, back up, squeeze, big inhale, watch my belly, exhale, hold back to the ground. All right, we've got another hold. Flex the feet, arms come up overhead, reach for the ceiling. I don't know about you girls, but I am like shaking already. My core is just so weak. But that's okay, that's why we're doing this class. Try to keep those feet flexed. 10 seconds. We got this. 3, 2, relax. One more round. Here we go. Back to those glute bridges. Plant the feet, drive up, squeeze your butt at the top. Squeeze. Back down. I want you guys to think about exhale, drive up, inhale, on the way back down. We're halfway there. I don't know about you girls, but I'm feeling this in my glutes, but I also feel a little bit in my quads, which is actually really nice. 3 more. 2. We're gonna hold at the top for 2 breaths this time. Drive up. And down. So challenge for the rest of the week is just to feel your breathing. You know, we do it all day, every day, but feel what's moving, what's expanding, what's contracting with each breath. All right, one last hold. Legs up to 90. Arms come up and reach. 3, 2, 1, here we go. Our last 30-second hold here. Feet are flexed, arms reaching for the sky, lower back per usual, maintaining contact with the ground. If you need less, drop it down. If you're good, just hang out up here. And 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness. All right, girls, go ahead and roll onto your belly. I'm actually gonna flip around. Ugh. Roll onto your belly. Plant your hands, kind of push up into cobra, just to stretch out. You can rock around a little bit. All right, so just to sort of oppose the movements we've been doing, all been in the front, I want to hit the posterior chain really quick. So we're laying on our belly, arms come out overhead, reaching straight forward. And I just want to work through 10 Superman lifts. So we're right here on the ground, lifting up as high as we can. Chest comes off the ground, thighs come off the ground, bring it back down. Give me 9 more. Squeeze at the top, control it back down. I don't want you flopping around like a fish. Give me 5 more. Up. Let's do 1 more. Hold up the top. Bring it back down. Okay, ladies, we're gonna bring it into tabletop position. And let's just work through a couple cat-cows. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, push the floor away. Pull belly button to spine. Hopefully we're all doing well. Okay guys, we are gonna work through a few sets of bird dogs. Hopefully you can see me okay. So, in our bird dog, we're starting in tabletop position. And we're extending opposite arm and leg. On the extension, exhale, bring it back in, inhale, belly to spine. These are a little challenging, especially if we're just getting back into movement. So if it feels like it's too much, or if you feel maybe your hips are kind of rocking all over the place, your rib cage is flaring, you can't maintain that tight core, just go ahead and work only your legs. That's totally fine. This movement is pretty progressive in my opinion. It's not super, super easy. So if you want to start just by extending those legs, you're still going to get great core activation. So let's bring it into tabletop. Let's do just a couple nice deep breaths. And let's start working. Let's extend our right arm and left leg. So inhale, draw the belly in. Exhale, extend. Let's just work one side at a time for that first set. Please ignore the screaming toddler in the background. That's 3 on this side. 4. Last one. Plant those hands. Let's hit the left side, left arm, right leg. Maintain tight core. Inhale. Exhale. Extend. So you want to keep your foot flexed when working through this movement. I always want to point my foot. I don't know if it's from being in gymnastics when I was younger. In every movement, I want to point my toes. That's 5. Plant it down. Let's work on alternating. We're just going to do 4 on each side as we alternate. Now, while we're alternating sides, in that transition where we're planting and then lifting and switching, I want to make sure we're not rocking too much. So let's keep this nice and slow and controlled. Inhale and exhale. Back down. Extend. That's 1. We got 3 more. Again, if this feels like too much, feel free to just work the legs. This is your workout. Do it at the level that feels comfortable for you. One more on each side. All right, girls, I'm gonna challenge you to drive up, lift the knees into just a bear hover. Let's just try to hang out here for like 10 seconds. This is a tough movement. Three, two, one, relax. How are we doing, ladies? Everybody good? Grab a sip of water. We're gonna get back into that superset. We're gonna do 4 on each side again, and then another one of those bear hovers, or bear planks as they're called. Starting on the other side this time, extending left arm, right leg. In 3, 2, 1, here we go. I want to do this core and pelvic floor class each week. So after class, I would love if you guys could give me some feedback. Let's do one more on each side because I always lose count whenever I am coaching and talking. I would love for your feedback on if you thought this intensity was appropriate. Do you want a little bit harder, a little less? Like any feedback you can give me. This is such a new format for me as far as coaching on live and not having clients in person. So any feedback you can give me is worth its weight in gold. All right, let's get back into that bear hover. Let's go for 15 seconds this time. Let's add a little bit of spice. Lift, here we go. Pushing the floor away from me. My knees are hovering the floor, but my belly button is still kind of reaching for that spine. My core is nice and tight. Also, I'm not sinking into my shoulder blades. I'm actively pushing the floor away from me. And relax. All right, girls, one more round. Let's make it the best round yet. Back into those alternating bird dogs. If you want a little more spice, if you have weights, this would be a great movement to add like ankle or wrist weights to. I am not quite there yet. I just noticed my core is pretty unstable still. Halfway. Last one on each side. Bring it down right into that bear plank. 3, 2, 1. Let's go for 20. Why not? I think these are so hard. 10 seconds left, ladies. We're almost done. In 3, 2, 1, relax. All right, girls, now we're just gonna get into a little bit of a stretch. 90 degrees here in the front leg, 90 degrees in the back leg. I want you pushing that hip forward. Hip openers are so important in my opinion because we sit so much in our daily life. Except for Natalia, who's watching this, she stands basically all day and walks around. But I know I sit a ton. All right, girls, plant those hands behind your back. Rotate to the other side. Driving hip forward. Here's a fun mobility challenge for you guys. Try to work on being able to move through 90-90 without using your hands. Can you bring your hands up? and switch sides. Mobility is just as important as strength in my opinion. And this is a great mobility challenge. Last one. All right, girls, meet me in tabletop again. I want to bring our right foot to our right hand. Sink into this stretch. Push your hip forward. Fold back. Lengthen front leg. Stretch out that hammy. Rock back into the hip flexor. And straighten front leg. One more, bring it forward. And back. Back into tabletop. Bring left leg, left foot next to left hand, sink into that stretch. Feel free to kind of rock your hips around. Do what feels good for you. It's your stretch. All right, let's straighten that front leg and stretch the hamstring. Sink forward. Try to get a little bit more into the stretch each rep. Drive back. Straighten that front leg. One more. Stretch out that hip. Rock back. Stretch out that hamstring. Okay, ladies, thank you so much for joining my first core and pelvic floor class. Remember, your homework or your challenge throughout this week is to just work on that 360 breathing. I wrote a blog post / made a little guide on these breathing techniques. It's on my website. If you want it, DM me, it's free. But working on 360 breathing, and also I want you guys to work on where are you feeling your breath. We get super disconnected from our pelvic floor, especially after delivery. So I want us to work on bringing it all back together. If you have any questions, any feedback, any requests for movement, hit me up in my DMs. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining.